As ceasefire negotiations continue in Gaza, the Israeli military has intensified operations in Jenin, launching a new offensive under Operation Iron Wall. The West Bank city has witnessed intense clashes, mass casualties and widespread destruction, raising concerns about further regional instability. With negotiators struggling to maintain progress, the question remains, is the ceasefire already under threat? Meanwhile, in Berlin, over 160,000 demonstrators have taken to the streets in protest against stricter immigration laws backed by Germany's center-right CDU and the far-right AfD. The proposed policies could restrict asylum claims, increase deportations, and limit family reunifications, sparking fears of far-right influence creeping into mainstream politics. Let's watch in focus. Since late January 2025, Israeli military operations in Jenin have escalated under Operation Iron Wall, resulting in dozens of Palestinian casualties, mass displacement, and widespread destruction. These attacks come just weeks after the Gaza ceasefire, raising doubts over Israel's commitment to de-escalation. After the same time, negotiations in Gaza remain fragile, with Hamas warning that continued military actions could derail ceasefire talks. With diplomatic efforts hanging by a thread, what impact will the Jenin offensive have on the broader regional conflict? As the National reports, Israeli operations in Jenin have escalated an iron wall, leaving widespread destruction, mass displacement, and a rising death toll. Palestinian officials call it ethnic cleansing, while Netanyahu now in Washington faces pressure from the far right to abandon the Gaza ceasefire. With concerns mounting over regional stability and the future of the truce, how will this escalation impact Palestinians' diplomacy and the next phase of the conflict? To analyze the situation, we're joined by Abdel Nasser Mekki, a political science professor. Professor Mekki, a very warm welcome, sir, and welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Sir, the situation in Jenin has escalated dramatically. What are the main objectives of this Israeli military operation?
Yes, I think this is a very important topic now in the West Bank, especially part of West Bank with Jenin. Not Jenin just, it is also Jenin, Tulkarim, Farat, Ammon, Tobas. The main objective of the Israeli escalation here and the campaign is that they want to hide in their failure in Gaza. This is one thing. The other thing is that Netanyahu want to send a message to his, that's in the coalition, to his extreme ministers like Smotrich, especially Smotrich now, because Ben Gvir has been resigned. Smotrich, that he now is fighting, one thing, they're fighting that's Hamas and Jihad Islamic there. And also at the same time, we want to start the concept of there and to all the Palestinians from from Palestinian territory outside, like what he did, try to make it on Gaza, but he failed there. And also at the same time, they want to increase the, that's the combination and the annexation in the territory, actually started from the north part, because in Jenin there are like a castle of the resistance. So they started this, and after that, I think they will go all over the West Bank and they want to increase the escalation and also to try remove all the Palestinian from their territory outside, like maybe in Jordan or in Egypt, in order to make more settlements in the West Bank, and also in the same time to increase the
Sir,
what
you
the
mean more
concept of,
Israeli settlements in the West Bank?
yes, more settlements. You know that we have about 220
Sir, I was
settlements
asking.
now in West Bank. So this is the plan of yes.
Okay, the plan of what, sir? Sorry, because there was a technical problem. Okay. Israel claims these attacks are targeting terrorist infrastructure, while Palestinian officials call it ethnic cleansing. How does this shape, or how does this shape international perceptions of the conflict, sir? Over 160,000 demonstrators have taken to the streets to protest Germany's proposed immigration. The controversial new policy is supported by the center-right CDU and the far-right EFD would restrict asylum claims, tighten border controls and limit family reunifications for refugees. Many fear that the CDU's cooperation with the AFD signals a dangerous shift in Germany's politics, breaking decades-long barrier against far-right alliances. With elections approaching, the question here remains: could these immigration policies reshape Germany's political landscape? And to break down the implications, we are joined by Abdelmeshi Shemi, coordinator of German-Arab relations in the German Parliament. A very warm welcome, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in our program today. Mr. Shemi, welcome. And Germany's immigration policies have been strict, sir, but this new proposal sparked massive protests. What makes these policies so controversial?
Waiting for you to word. Of course, that this the decision or this law that has been proposed to the parliament is unprecedented when it comes to the restriction dealing with the immigrants. It will prevent all immigrants already living on German lands from using the right to reunion, which allows the receiving family and loved ones from outside of Germany to Germany. It will also close the borders to receiving refugees and will give the right to the police and security and border guards with lots of mandates, unprecedented mandates to reject and return all refugees, and also allow more power and force to be used towards and against refugees, which is in contradiction and violates the German constitutions and the United Nations resolution and the Geneva Agreement with regards to refugees. It is described as the racism and a great escalation against the refugees and foreigners in Germany, and there are concerns within the German community, especially that it's now a mixture of different foreigner nationalities. There are millions of Germans who live from different backgrounds that are not otherwise negatively on the community and society, and will lead to internal conflicts, and no one wants that. In addition, the German mentality does not accept all of these violence and racism and standardism towards the foreigners. The German society is not comfortable with such a decision, and that's why there are concerns of rising far right parties, and also with the way of the not coming back to Germany. There are a lot of analysts and observers resembling this phase to the phase that brought the Nazis at the beginning of the last century to power. There are a lot of concerns raised today in the German street, in particular that the far right now takes the majority of the Democratic Christian Party, which is one of the most important parties in Germany, as the previous Chancellor Angela Merkel was Germany moderate in its policies towards foreigners.
Sir, as we're discussing, of course, controversial new policies, which is supported by the center-right CDU and the far-right AFD. All immigration policies, which of course now is signaling one of the dangerous shifts in Germany's politics, is one of the main reasons behind, of course, the change in, of course, the making Germany's Olaf Scholz losing their confidence, and of course he's no more in charge. This is one of the main topics that took him to this destiny. Why, from your own perspective, sir, is this the reason, the main reason behind Olaf Scholz's destiny?
The decisions made by Olaf Scholz regarding asylum issues, one way or another, are different from the decisions adopted today by the Democratic Christian Party, which is adopting a moderate policy towards this, rejecting for Germany to have this right-wing phase, which is, unfortunately, as we have mentioned, that the CDU is starting to have a tendency to the far right, and with a lot of slogans being raised in protests that we have witnessed yesterday, that it's inadmissible for the CDU to turn to the far right. It has to remain in the center. The party of Chancellor Scholz is the moderate when it comes to asylum issues and most other significant issues in Germany. And even with the external or foreign affairs issues, he's always been keen on keeping the laws of Germany in a moderate place. He had a great role bringing justice to refugees and immigrants in Germany in different rights and laws that gave immigrants and refugees the right to movement, the right to work, a lot of other rights that was forbidden in other parts or pending certain conditions. Also, the party of Chancellor Scholz passed a lot of laws to the parliament bringing justice to refugees.
Then he played a pivotal role, sir, in Germany's history and in Germany's political movement which is taking place. So this takes us to another question, which is the CDU's willingness to work with the AfD, which has shocked many. Could this signal a shift in mainstream German politics towards the far right? And why didn't this take place in light of Scholz's leadership?
Unfortunately, this is a serious shift. Everyone is aware that the far right is taking over Europe recently. We have seen how it went in the EU elections and in the elections in most European states. The far right is now prominent in the scene. Germany was the exception, but today we see the CDU joining the category of the far right, let us say, or semi-far right. Asylum issue, which is the main issue here. I think that asylum and immigration are the factor in the election, the direct reason that changed the European mindset and taken Europe to the right, as we are seeing today. Address this issue with all of the restrictions that extremism will not lead to solving these issues or reaching a solution. It will worsen and reflect negatively on the German society and will lead to a lot of internal conflicts if the CDU reaches the far right and made an alliance with the AfD. I think that the situation in Germany will be very serious when it comes to addressing refugees and immigrants and even German citizens with different backgrounds. A lot of laws that they said they would change, dismissing foreigners and refugees to support the livelihood of refugees in Germany. All of these will face a lot of racism that is unprecedented in the German society. I think these protests that are going out in the German streets for days now will have a great impact and will change the map of the political alliances in the upcoming elections.
Okay, sir, supporters of these policies argue they are necessary for national security and crime prevention. Are these concerns justified or politically motivated, sir?
There are concerns, no doubt, justified concerns, the scrutiny of the kind of refugees who come to here, and the nature of German laws and European democratic laws. Allow some kind of crimes that come and accompany with the refugees and immigrants, such as the terrorism and violence and hatred towards other. These kinds of crimes that come with the refugees, and some of the laws that cannot tackle these issues in an effective manner, but this is not the solution. Adopting hate speech and hate policies that are racist are not the solution. This will lead to an explosion with the German society, especially that the number of immigrants are that millions in Germany now. There are a lot of and groups that are adopting extremist approach towards Germans. The real solution here is facing the elements and drivers of terrorism and extremism, which represent a very low percentage of immigrants. So dealing with all the refugees and immigrants as a threat to the German national security is not the correct way forward. If we take into consideration the Syrians who immigrated to Germany, even in the media and all the registries and surveys in Germany, the Syrian population had a great role running the economic wheel, and even the medical services, the transportation services. The Syrian population is participating and playing an integral role promoting the German economy, and returning Syrian population and refugees, as stated by German experts, will lead to a grave disaster to Germany and to the German economy. This irresponsible approach adopted by the far right and the AfD will harm the German economy, the German people, and the German state, and that's why
okay, sir,
that should not.
Many protesters warn that these laws could violate EU asylum policies. Could Germany's stance create tensions with the European Union?
Certainly, it's completely violating the EU asylum policies in accordance to different agreements and treaties to receive asylum seekers from conflict zones and unsecure zones. That's why it's a violation to European laws. Is the moral fundamental to EU policies, and there are a lot of states that directly reject such extremist policies and the far right policies. This tendency towards the right that is taking over Europe. So Germany today, as a central state in the European Union and the main acts to the European Union at the political or economic levels to adopt such extremist policies that will lead to issues and problems with different European states and even within the European institutions. So it will be difficult to justify such policies by Germany through laws that govern the action of the European Union. We are facing now a legal, legislative, moral and political crisis in the European Union.
Thank you, Mr. Shemi, for your insights. And the protests in Berlin are not just about immigration. They're about the future of German democracy, with far-right, of course, rhetoric entering mainstream politics. The country's political identity is being tested like never before. The Israeli military's escalation in Jenin has cast a shadow over the fragile ceasefire negotiations in Gaza, raising serious doubts about the path to lasting peace. Meanwhile, in Berlin, the fight over immigration laws have sparked a political reckoning with Germany's democratic values at stake. Dear viewers, thank you very much for watching In Focus. I'm Rana Qassas. See you next time.